Here is a Dayton 24-inch oscillating pedestal fan, industrial grade. This is very similar to the one that I got a couple months ago from the Nocturnal seller, which is that one over there, except this one I got from the letter H, and the transaction, of course, was much easier. This one unfortunately seems to have been exposed to some kind of, I don't know if it's a spray paint or what it is, but it's got like a black substance. It's hard to describe it. It's like a hardened powder all over it, including the information tags. I believe it says Model 3C215B fan head, and this one was originally a wall mount model, so it would have been 4C219. Right now it's a pedestal, so it's 4C541. And then what is this number on the front here? That's a 15300. I wonder if that's the blade part number. I think the data sheet is on the other side here. The data sheet's in pretty bad shape. It's the oscillating fan motor, model number 4C354C, 115 volts, single phase, 50 degrees Celsius, continuous duty air over. That's the ambient, the highest allowed ambient temperature is 50 degrees Celsius. 3.5 amps, 1075 RPM, 2-speed. I'm not sure what the low speed is, and it's 1/4 horsepower. I wonder if it's Class B insulation. It's got a thermal switch as opposed to the thermal fuse, and it's ball bearing. So this was originally a wall mount model. I have the wall stand floating around here somewhere, but I didn't really have anywhere to put a wall mount unit. I thought about trying to hang it up over there, but then when I try to walk past her to get the ladders and stuff, it would have been a problem. So I had this stand from a 30-inch one, which is that one over there, that 30-inch. And while the 30-inch one works fine, the blade design is kind of poor. It's extremely loud. It's a higher speed motor with the very thin blades, and it's just an obnoxiously loud fan. So I figured I'd rather use this one. So I took the stand and put this on this stand. These are low speed, only 1075 RPM, with the very wide, steep pitch blades. And these run exceptionally quiet but push a ton of air. So unfortunately that junk is all over the blades as well, so I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. I think the blade is not in the best of balance either, so this might be a candidate for just replacing the blade. I was going to buy a new blade for the Nocturnal one over there because it was so horribly out of balance. But I was able to just kind of align the clock back a little better, and it became into satisfactory enough balance to use. But that one is a kind of a cosmetic mess anyways. This one, the guard is so nice. It's still got the shine to the paint. The logo is nice, although unfortunately it did seem to get a little bit scratched up, I guess probably in transport. That really stinks, but other than that, it's in really good condition. The motor's pretty good. So a new blade would look really nice on this. I was hoping that one of the blades I got from that new old stock auction at the fan meet this year was going to have a blade that's the right size. But unfortunately the biggest blades in that auction were 22 inches, I think. and this takes a 24. So I'll have to buy a new blade. They are still available, they're just not particularly cheap. It looks like there might be a couple of cracks forming, which is a little concerning, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and potentially reinforce it should that crack anymore, but generally speaking this is in really nice condition. I don't remember, was there a date on here somewhere? This is probably an 80s model. I don't see a date on there. Maybe we can get a date on the capacitor perhaps. It's an oscillating model, and it's pretty much just like a giant oscillating fan. It looks the same. Kind of like the old, those really cheap fans from the 1950s had a kind of a similar looking mechanism. Now, I believe that you can take the not the post, this bar off and move it to different holes on here to get a wider swing. It's on the more narrow swing right now, but I believe that can be changed, and you can disengage or engage this. The problem is this fan shakes so violently that this ends up turning like this, and it will screw itself in over a rather short period of time. So it kind of forces itself to be in oscillation continuously. So you definitely need to do something about the blade. It's a ball bearing motor, so it's not like the motor's going to really suffer any damage from running that way, but it's just not correct. This is a pull chain control model, and it looks like the chain has broken off at some point and is just barely left. And it's got this long, looks like an old one of those porcelain light fixture chains on it. I've never understood the pull chain control on the floor pedestal models. I know this was originally a wall mount, and that's a situation where it would make sense, but it just doesn't seem like a good idea for the floor one, because it just seems very likely to get sucked in there. But then again, I guess the likeliness of that happening would not be any different for a wall mount one. I don't know, just kind of odd to me. The original plug was MIA, so I just put this plug on there. Probably going to keep it like this, no reason to change it. It's a nice industrial-like armored plug. It's a good fit. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this onto the tripod here, and then we'll start this thing up and let it run. Alright, here we go. I'm going to plug this thing in. I don't know if it's on the high or the low. I guess we're going to find out momentarily. Right now we have 118.5 the volts. Go over to the amps. That, I believe, is going to be the low. So you can hear it is shaking something off, although it actually doesn't look like it's shaking too bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was, but it is definitely out. Blowing stuff around here. The amount of noise this is making is unbelievable. And this is quieter than the 3733, and it's just moving a monstrous amount of air. It's only taking 2.13 amps. 280 watts, and has 0.83 the power factor, which is pretty bad for a PSC motor. I wonder if the capacitor has drifted. Now it's in the simulation mode. It's a very narrow swing. But we can correct that by changing the hole it's connected to. Alright, let's try the high. So it's off, low, off, high. The bearings in this don't sound the happiest. Wow! That is 3.91 amps, 300 watts, and power factor is 0.65 the power factor. So I think something is wrong here, because it's definitely not a shaded pole motor. So I don't know why the power factor is so poor. We're definitely going to have to check that capacitor. Yeah, it's shaking really bad now. Yeah, this is a candidate for new bearings. The bearings sound very dry. Unfortunately, it's ball bearings, so you can just replace them and get like new performance. This should have spun for a lot longer than that. So that's it for this one. It's a project piece, but it has the potential to come out looking really nice. I think I am just gonna get a new blade. It's not the cheapest, but when I have some extra money, I'm going to buy one, because these are huge childhood fans. I remember there was a nursery, like one for plants, that my mother used to take me to years ago, like back in the 2000s, and I remember seeing these fans there. And of course, I was so young at the time, the fans looked monstrous, and I always wanted to have one, and I never did up until a couple months ago. Nor did I have anywhere to use it until I moved in here, so perhaps it's just as well. But these are really cool fans, and they're really good fans too. The performance is exceptional, the noise level is exceptional. It's a real shame that we went away from this type of blade design, because the wide blades with the steep pitch really, I think, is the best way to go.